That morning at just a little bit past 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m., a buzzer would have struck in the station right where we're sitting. There was a report of a structure fire at 126 Groveland Drive.
Cody was 5 weeks short of being 20 years old. He was studying mechanical engineering at North Carolina State University.
A passerby noticed the fire and smoke in the neighborhood. As soon as they pulled out of the station here at Station 5, there was actually smoke laying throughout the neighborhood.
The day that we saw the house, of course, he explained that it was a fraternity house. That's where the fraternity brothers would be living. It was right off campus, very close by the school. And the day we saw it was the day we moved him in.
Upon arriving at the address, there was heavy fire on the first floor of the unit. So they were aware pretty quickly that there were 2 people missing or unaccounted for. So they were making pretty heroic efforts to get inside the structure. But the fire had advanced so significantly throughout the first floor that our initial efforts, they were unable to make that initial search until they'd knocked down some of the fire.
The sheriff called me that morning. On the phone, I said, "This doesn't have anything to do with either of my children, does it?" And he said, "I'd rather not discuss it on the phone." And when I met him, he said, "Do you have a son?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I do." And he said, "He goes to NC State." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I thought, wait, what in the world could he possibly have done? Would have been totally out of character. And he said, "Well, there was a fire." And he stopped. And I waited. And I thought he'd say, "We're going to the hospital now." And instead, he said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, your son died in the fire."
It's your worst nightmare. You know, it was cold, gray, rainy that morning, and you don't want to believe it.
We went to the house the day of the fire to get everything. His car was there, everything that was left. We didn't know what we were going to find.
There were still fire trucks and people still there and everybody's still out and about. And I stopped and ran up to the house, and windows were knocked out. Outside the house was black from the smoke.
It was starting to get dark. And of course, there was no electricity in the house. And there were some people in the house, insurance adjusters or whomever, 2 or 3 people. And we asked if we could go in.
We went in through a back door into a kitchen. And as soon as you walk in, just the smell. I'll never forget the smell.
The first floor was just gutted, just completely burnt out. It looked pretty risky just to try to get up the stairs because they were so damaged. Everything was black, but not burned. I can remember just saying, "Oh my God, oh 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 my God."
It was pretty clear that the fire did start on that first floor area on the left-hand side unit. Apparently they had a gathering or something of a party earlier in the evening that lasted into the small hours of the morning. And our investigators determined that it appeared that there was some smoking material that was either dropped or inappropriately discarded in some of that upholstery that some hours later ignited the fire.
When we went into his room, the windows were no bigger than that wide, and you had to crank it out, and even then there was a metal screen behind it. In a short notice, you're not going to get out of that window.
There was reason to believe, based on where we found the victims, that both of them were at least partially aware of their circumstance, and both were making some attempt to get out of the structure at the time they were overcome.
Best could be determined, he got up at some point. Room's completely black. He was probably already disoriented. He didn't burn up. He died of carbon monoxide poisoning. The blood vessel in his eyes ruptured from coughing. You get to learn more than you really want to.
There's nothing like getting a coroner's report. His things were all covered with, everything was black. And if you moved something, it was the color it was, but everything on top was black.
The glaring feature was on this left side unit where the deaths occurred. There were no smoke detectors deployed in that area. Of course, no sprinkler system in the building at all. Notably, the right-hand side, this other bank, did in fact have brand new smoke detectors throughout the structure, and everyone on that side of the building was able to get out safely.
We went back 2 days after we initially went, and Kenzie opened this closet door and said, well, there's the smoke alarms right there. And they were all in the package. There were 3, 4 of them in there, brand new, laying on a shelf.
I'm in the building industry, and that's one of my concerns is the fire safety issue, draft stops, firewalls, fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, duct detectors. And in a residential setting, I moved my kid in an inferno. You carry your kids off to school, you know, you assume that somebody has done what they're supposed to.
We never worried because he was such a good kid and he wasn't doing anything. He was just sleeping.
I was 16, he was 19. We had the normal brother relationship, you know, growing up. I tried to be like him.
He was just a unique type of person. He just marched to the drum that he heard, not what everybody else wanted him to do.
After he died, we all felt empty. You know, I come home and there's an empty room up there. This is me. And I know my mom and dad are here, but your brother's somebody you can talk to anything about. And just not having that shoulder there, that person there, it just really hurts.
We all suffer in different ways. I lost a son. He lost a son. He lost his brother. I don't know what that feels like to lose a brother.
And it's not what he did or didn't do. It's the actions of somebody else that caused his death.
Nobody's looking out for you. You may think that you're being safe and cautious, but what somebody else does could have a huge impact on your life.
If you lay down tonight and you look up and you don't see a smoke alarm, get out of bed. Call your landlord. Smoke alarms are the cheapest form of life protection you can have. It looks after you 24 hours a day.